Arie Luyendyk, the Fine Dutchman, is one of the best drivers in IndyCar back in the day with the 1985 Indy 500 Rookie of the Year, two Indy 500 wins in 1990 and 1997. Not only he won IndyCar races, but Arie would also win the 12 Hours of Sebring in 1989, race for Nissan in the GTP class, and win in the 1998 Rolex 24 at Daytona for Moretti Ferrari Racing. Arie is well known as a Dutch legend. However, there is another Arie Luyendyk, the son of a Dutch legend. His name is Arie Luyendyk Jr., and he is the star of this episode. With that being said, let's begin. Arie Luyendyk Jr. was born on September 18, 1981 from Hertogenbosch, Netherlands, at the age of 3. The Luyendyks were immigrated from the Netherlands to the United States of America, settling in Brookfield, Wisconsin. The Luyendyks would later move to Scottsdale, Arizona. Arie Jr. would finally get behind the wheel in 1992 and started racing in go-karts. Later on in his early days of racing, Arie Jr. would make the move in the Sports Car Club America, racing the Formula Ford Series, racing a number of American Junior Formula races, winning some Skip Barber Formula Dodge Series. In 2000, Arie Jr. would race in the U.S. Formula 4 2000 Championship Series. In his personal life, Arie Jr. would be in 2 high schools and graduated in 2000. During his 2-year stints in the series, Arie Luyendyk Jr. would have 5 top 5s and 19 top 10s, with the best finish the 4th at the 2001 Watkins Glen race and the 2001 night before the 500 at the Indianapolis Raceway Park. Luyendyk Jr. would finish 11 points in 2000 and 9th in points in 2001. After 2001, racing the USFF 2000 and Sports Car Club America Formula Continental, Arie Luyendyk Jr. would make the next move to Indy Lights for the 2002 season for his father. Luyendyk had a consistent and strong rookie season in Indy Lights. 2002 started off with a 4-car crash at Kansas on lap 47 after Arie Jr. got behind the corners and apron while being side-by-side against Ronnie Johncox, which also collected Aaron Fike and Ed Carpenter. Arie Jr. would finish 10th place out of 12 cars to kick off his rookie season in the Infinity Pro Series. For the rest of the season, Arie Luyendyk Jr. would have a consistent rookie season with the best finish the second 4 times at Nashville, Michigan, Gateway, and Chicagoland. Arie Luyendyk was racing against AJ Foyt IV for the championship. It was a battle of the son of the famous fathers. However, AJ Foyt IV, despite having only 1 DNF at Gateway due to engine issues, would have a much more consistent season by winning 4 races, finishing in the top 5 6 times, winning the championship by 54 points. Arie Jr. would finish second in points after not only being winless but also finishing in the top 5 4 times in an average finish of 4.4, while AJ Foyt IV had 3.6 average finish. 2003 would be a fresh start to his sophomore year. Not only AJ Foyt IV graduated to the IndyCar series, but Arie Luyendyk Jr. and his number 5 would be racing for Sinden Racing Service, which is owned by Jeff Sinden and Joe Kennedy. The duo was known as Jeff and Joe. 2003 was a regressive year for Arie Jr. compared to his rookie season in 2002. Arie Luyendyk Jr. would start off his 2003 season with a 4th place finish at Homestead and a 10th place finish at Phoenix, 1 lap down after starting in last at 15th. In the inaugural Freedom 100 at Indianapolis, Arie Luyendyk Jr. would finally have a sponsor for the race. Thermals would advertise their grill-to-go barbecues, and Smith Wesson, a gun manufacturer. Despite a 5th place starting position, he would finish at 15th after racing for 29 laps due to in-pits. For the next 3 races after the Freedom 100, Arie Jr. would get a top 5 and 2 top 10s at Pikes Peak with a 3rd place finish and a 9th place finish at Nashville, but a 12th place finish at Kansas after starting at 14th, with just last place. Arie Luyendyk Jr. would finally get his first pole of the season at Michigan. Luyendyk Jr. would lead the first 19 laps of the race, but would get into a crash with Paul Dana on the backstretch, 40 laps into the race, finishing in 11th place. For the looks of it, I cannot find a race, unfortunately. For the remainder of the season, Arie Jr. would have 3 top 5s and 4 top 10s, but coming into Texas for the season finale, Arie Luyendyk Jr. would be in a big scary crash, collecting championship leader Mark Taylor in turn 3. Both drivers got together at the backstretch, entering the 3rd corner. Arie Jr. would go airborne, almost flipping, and both would crash on the outside wall hard. It would be on top of Mark Taylor. Thankfully, both drivers climbed out of the cars unharmed. Luckily for Mark Taylor would win the 2003 Infinity Pro Series Championship by 75 points. As for Arie Jr., it was a struggling sophomore season for the Dutch driver. He would have 2 podiums, 5 top 5s, 8 top 10s, 2 poles, and 3 DNFs, and an average finish of 8.2, which would make him finish 7th in points. 2004 would once again be a different year for Arie Jr. Another year in the Infiniti Pro Series, another different team change for the third season in a row. This time raced for not only for one race team, but two race teams. Before the 2004 Infiniti Pro Series got even started, Arie Luyendyk Jr. would race in the 2004 Rolex 24, racing in number 9 Mears Motor Coach Speed Source Multimatic MDP1 Ford 5.0 liter V8, having four other co-drivers alongside were Mike Borkowski, Paul Mears Jr., Nick Ham, and Justin Bell. Unfortunately, the number 9 DP car would finish 44th overall after 289 laps due to electrical issues. Now, for the Infiniti Pro Series, Arie Jr. would race for Sam Schmidt Motorsports for 7 races. In Homestead, Arie Luyendyk Jr. would crash out of the race alongside Paul Dana after 23 laps. Arie Jr. would pick up the pace during the next 2 races by finishing 2nd at Phoenix and 3rd at Indianapolis for the Freedom 100. After a 7th place finish at Kansas, Arie Luyendyk Jr. would have 3 straight DNFs, a DNF at Nashville due to handling problems, a crash in the opening laps at Milwaukee alongside with Billy Rowe and Leonardo Maya, and handling issues at Michigan. Michigan would be Arie Luyendyk Jr.'s final race for Sam Schmidt Motorsports and would move to AFS Racing. AFS Racing was owned by Gary Peterson, who was the founder of American Fire Sprinklers. Gary ran a part-time 2004 schedule. As for Arie Jr., he ran the final 5 races of the 2004 Infiniti Pro Series in the AFS Racing second car, finishing the final 5 races with 4 top 10s while spinning and crashing out in turn 3 at Fontana after 27 laps. Despite racing for 2 teams, Arie Luyendyk Jr. would have 2 podiums, 6 top 5s, 10 top 10s, and an average finish of 6.7 and a 3rd place in points. 2005 would be yet another different year for Arie Jr. Arie Jr. would still race in the Infiniti Pro Series, but it would be part-time. Arie Luyendyk Jr. would make his first Infiniti Pro Series race in 2005 at Phoenix with a 4th place finish and a 5th place St. Petersburg finish. Arie Luyendyk Jr.'s next race was at Indianapolis. However, it was not for the 2005 edition of the Freedom 100, no siree. Arie Luyendyk Jr. would attempt to race in his IndyCar Series debut at Indianapolis for the 2005 Indianapolis 500. Arie Luyendyk Jr. would be raced for Curva Agajanian Beck Motorsports. Unfortunately for Arie Jr., Arie Jr. would not qualify for the 2005 Indianapolis 500 with a speed of 215.039 miles per hour, 2 miles per hour slower than Felipe Giafone, while Felipe's speed was at 217.645 miles per hour, bumping Arie Luyendyk Jr. out of the Indy 500. For the rest of the season, Arie Luyendyk Jr. would race for Brian Stewart Racing for the rest of the season, finish all the races, but with DNF at Pikes Peak after 49 laps due to handling issues. After Pikes Peak, Arie Luyendyk Jr. would return to AFS Racing at the season finale in Fontana. 2006 would be another year of running less Infiniti Pro Series. Arie Luyendyk Jr. would run the first 2 races in Florida with a 4th place finish at Homestead, but in St. Petersburg, he did not start on the first St. Petersburg race. After missing out on the 2005 Indy 500, Arie Luyendyk would make a return to Indianapolis, owned by his father with sponsorships from CheapCaribbean.com and Blue Star Jets. Arie Luyendyk Jr. would have to do a refresher test during rookie orientation. Throughout the practice sessions, the team would do some limited practice times due to a second-week engine program. Arie Luyendyk Jr. would make sure to show up and enter his first Indy 500. Luckily, Arie Luyendyk Jr. would make the show and enter his first Indy 500. Unfortunately, Arie Luyendyk Jr. would have handling problems and call it quits after 54 laps, finishing in 28th. The 2006 Indianapolis 500 would be the only race he has done in IndyCar. Arie Jr. would return to the Infiniti Pro Series race 3 more times at Watkins Glen, finishing 11th after running out of gas, 11th again at Nashville, and 6th at Chicago. Arie Luyendyk Jr. would race around the world in 2007, starting off in the American Le Mans Series at Sebring for 12 Hours of Sebring. Arie Luyendyk Jr. would race in number 53 Panos Esperante GTLM in the GT2 class, racing for Robertson Racing alongside with David and Andrea Robertson. Unfortunately, the team would retire from the race after 64 laps due to engine problems, finishing 18th in the Grand Touring 2 class and 34th overall, which was last place. As of the writing of this episode, the 2007 12 Hours of Sebring is currently Arie Luyendyk Jr.'s only 12 Hours of Sebring race. Arie Luyendyk Jr. would make a return to the Infiniti Pro Series for the Watkins Glen doubleheader weekend, racing for Jim Guthrie in the number 40 with Racing for Kids sponsoring Arie Jr. for the weekend. On race 1, he would finish 17th after starting at 20th. On race 2, Arie Luyendyk Jr. would suffer from mechanical issues, same with Ryan Justice. I'm not sure if they both made contact or had the same problems at the same time. Unfortunately, as of this episode, there's no footage of the race. DNFing from the race after 35 laps and finishing 22nd. Later in 2008 actually, Arie Luyendyk Jr. would travel to Taupo, New Zealand. He would drive for Team Netherlands with the best result of 5th for training time. That's all I found when it came to Arie Jr. in the A1 GP series. Apparently, he did no races in the A1 GP series. Anyway, so Arie Jr. would make a return to Indy Lights in 2008. Arie Luyendyk Jr. would return to Indy Lights full-time in 2008 for the first time since 2004, racing for Andretti Green Racing with a partnership from AFS Racing, being teammates with Rafa Matos. Coming to the 2008 season, Arie Luyendyk Jr. was expected to be winning races. Coming to the 2008 season, Arie Jr. was expected to be a race-winning contender and a championship contender. Now that the series had more than 20 cars on track, Arie Jr. is expected to perform. Arie Luyendyk Jr. would kick off his return to the series in the Sunshine State with a 4th place finish at Homestead and a 6th place finish at the first St. Petersburg race. But on the second St. Pete race, Arie Jr. would be involved in a big crash at St. Petersburg after being clipped by Juan Manuel Pilar. Arie Jr. would finish in 22nd, second to last place. For the next 4 races, Arie Luyendyk Jr. would finish 2 top 5s and 3 top 10s while finishing 14th at the Freedom 100. Arie Jr. would have one of the best races of his Indy Lights career at the 2008 Iowa races. He would dominate the race by leading 101 laps. However, Dylan Battistini would take the lead away with 14 laps to go, winning the race. Arie Luyendyk Jr. would finish in 2nd in the race. Arie Jr. would continue to have 4 straight good races with 1 top 5 and 3 top 10s at Nashville while finishing 4 top 10s on that stretch. But in the wet and wild, rainy second Mid-Ohio race, Arie Luyendyk Jr. would spin out in turn 13, 2 laps into the race. Arie Jr. would go off again with 22 minutes to go. However, Arie would continue to run clean and wet with an 11th place finish. Arie Jr. would have a clean 3rd place finish at Kentucky. At the Sonoma doubleheader weekend, it was a struggling weekend with Arie Jr. Arie Luyendyk Jr. had surgery on his left knee. During testing, he tore the stitches off, but throughout the weekend, he dealt with the pain, which does not help the fact that he is a left foot breaker, losing his feeling on his left side of his leg area. On the first Sonoma race, Arie Jr. would spin out in turn 11. He would end up finishing 17th at the first Sonoma race. Arie Jr. ended up finishing 16th on the second Sonoma race. Hopefully he had some wine to ease off the pain while recovering. The final race of the 2008 Indy Lights season took place in Chicagoland. It was a big day for AFS Racing and Andretti Green Racing. Rafa Matos was going for the championship against Richard Antonucci. Rafa Matos was the pole sitter for the race while Arie Jr. started in P3. Rafa Matos led every single lap of the race, but a caution would come out with 5 laps to go due to Tom Dyer spinning in turn 2. Now, there will be a shootout between Rafa Matos and Arie Luyendyk Jr.
Here they come off the 4th corner. 1 lap to determine who's going to win here at Chicagoland. And there goes Luyendyk to the low side of Matos, and here comes Anna right behind him. Now Luyendyk has the lead.
This is where it gets tough. Look at this. Oh, they almost touched. There's Anna looking. She is by Rafa right now. Can she hold that?
Is Luyendyk going to be able to get his win finally in the Firestone Indy Lights Series? He has the lead as the field comes out of quarter number 4. Looks like he's going to do it. At Chicagoland Speedway, Arie Luyendyk Jr. finally gets it done in the Firestone Indy Lights Series. How about that? Anna Beatrice second, Matos was 3rd, Wilson and Davidson your top 5.
Big celebration.
Unbelievable. We'll be right back. Rafael Matos, the champion, and Arie Luyendyk Jr., the winner of the race.
Well, I don't know if you could find 2 guys any happier. Arie, congratulations. You win in your final start of 2008. The team wins the championship. Does it get much better?
No, it's perfect. You know, this was a dream scenario. Me winning the race, Rafa winning the championship. More than words can describe. You know, Firestone tires held up. It was awesome. Targus, our sponsor this year, Joan, Stu, been awesome all year.
And how about this guy, the champion right here? How about Rafa Matos? We're going to be talking to him. Congratulations to AFS Andretti Green Racing, Bob Jenkins, as they continue to celebrate.
A lot of celebration down there in his 62nd start. Arie Luyendyk Jr. finally wins a Firestone Indy Lights race. We'll be back to talk with the champion Matos in a moment.
After being in Indy Lights since 2002 with 62 starts, Arie Luyendyk Jr. would finally get his first career Indy Lights Series win at Chicagoland. In 2008, Arie Luyendyk Jr. would have 1 win, 5 podiums, 7 top 5s, 11 top 10s, 1 DNF, and an average finish of 8.1, finishing 4th in points. After the 2008 Indy Lights season, Arie Luyendyk Jr. would not return to AFS Racing / Andretti Green Racing. Unknown reason. While doing the research for something in 2008, I found out something I did not expect at all. So on October 23rd, 2008, Arie Luyendyk Jr. was arrested for driving with a suspended license without a valid registration and failure to provide proof of insurance in Scottsdale, Arizona. The context was that he was speeding, failure to obey traffic signals, too close to another car, and made a dangerous lane change, which got him pulled over. Yeah, that is just, ooh, yikes. But he pleaded guilty and did his deed on cleaning up his act and got his license back. Nearly at the end of 2008 on December, Arie Jr. would travel to Iraq and Kuwait to spend time with the U.S. men and women who were in service on military bases. In 2009, for the first time ever on his racing career, Arie Luyendyk Jr. was not behind the wheel on a race car. However, Arie Jr. still had a job in 2009. In 2009, Arie Luyendyk Jr. would be on the booth to call the Indy Lights races on Versus as an analyst. After a year away from racing, Arie Luyendyk Jr. would return to Indy Lights for 2010. Arie Jr. would race in the 2010 Freedom 100, racing the number 4 IZAD machine for Anderson Racing on a 1-race deal, which is owned by Dan Anderson. Arie Jr. started 15th in a 16-car field for the race, but would DNF after 24 laps due to fuel pressure issues. Arie Jr. would make 3 more Indy Lights starts in 2010 for Alliance Motorsports. Arie Jr. would have a 7th place finish at Chicagoland, the same track he won at 2 years prior, a 9th place finish at Kentucky, and a 12th place finish at the 2010 Indy Lights season finale at Homestead. The 2010 Indy Lights race at Homestead will be Arie Luyendyk Jr.'s last ever Indy Lights race. In 66 races in Indy Lights, Arie Luyendyk Jr. scored 1 win, 13 podiums, 4 poles, and an average of 7.9 with a best finish of 2nd in points in 2002. After the 2010 season, Arie Luyendyk Jr. will be on TV once again, but not on the racetrack, not on a TV booth to be an analyst for the race, but he would be on a reality show called The Bachelorette in 2011 for season 8, trying to impress Emily Maynard, but he would end up finishing 2nd on the show. Arie Luyendyk Jr. would also be on an episode of Hell's Kitchen on season 9, episode 7 during the 2011 Grand Prix of Long Beach race weekend. For 2012, Arie Luyendyk Jr. would finally make a return to the racetrack, but as an analyst on NBC Sports Network, calling Indy Lights races again. Luckily for Arie Jr. and his racing career, he would once again return to the driver's seat in Robbie Gordon's Stadium Super Truck Series. Arie Jr. did a crowdfund to help him become a Stadium Super Truck driver with a campaign website, www.arietruck.com. Arie Jr. would compete in the inaugural Stadium Super Truck Series for the first 6 races with a best main finish of 4th place 3 times at the very first Stadium Super Trucks race at the University of Phoenix, and both Qualcomm Stadium in San Diego and a heat win at the LA Coliseum, but would crash out in the main event after 11 laps. Arie Jr. would start on a pole for St. Louis in the Edward Jones Dome, but would have a transmission issue after 5 laps, finishing in 12th last place. Arie Jr. would do 1 more race at Caesars Palace with his 5th place finish. Arie Jr. would end up 7th in points with 4 top 5s and 5 top 10s. After 2013, Arie Luyendyk Jr. would return to IndyCar to test for Dale Coyne Racing at Sebring due to Justin Wilson recovering from his injuries from the big win in Fontana. The excited Dutchman says that he has never lost a passion for IndyCar and stayed closer to the sport, even driving the IndyCar 2-seater. Arie Luyendyk Jr. was one of the 6 drivers who were part of the Honda test, completing 138 laps. As of this episode, that would be the last time Arie Luyendyk Jr. would be in the IndyCar cockpit. From 2014 to 2015 in Stadium Super Trucks, he would run 10 total races with a 2nd place finish at the 3rd Belle Isle race to EJ Viso, who swept the Belle Isle weekend in the 3rd place finish at COTA for the 2015 X Games, scoring a bronze medal. He would also finish 2nd in Heat 3 at the COTA race. In 2016, Arie Luyendyk Jr. would compete in 10 races with the best finish of 2nd twice at the 1st Belle Isle race and a 2nd Charlotte race. In 2017, Arie Luyendyk Jr. competed in 11 races with a best finish of 4th in the 2nd St. Petersburg race, but would have the best finish of 2nd at the first heat race of the first ever race at Lake Elsinore Diamond, aka Storm Stadium in Elsinore, California. While Arie Luyendyk Jr. was still racing in the Stadium Super Trucks between 2017 and 2019, Arie Luyendyk Jr. would return to the Bachelorette show. Before I explain Arie Luyendyk Jr.'s time in the Bachelor series, I want to let you all know that I do not watch the show. However, I did get some help about Arie Jr.'s time on the show. I want to give a shout out to Bree, who is a close friend of mine, for helping me out. She explained to me that in the show, Arie Luyendyk Jr. was with Becca Kufrin. Arie Luyendyk Jr. and Becca were dating for 4 months before the question of engagement was popped. 2 months after Arie asked Becca to marry him, Arie Luyendyk Jr. would break up with Becca Kufrin, and Arie Luyendyk Jr. would marry Lauren Burnham. But the move Arie Jr. made to dump Becca for Lauren still remains as one of the most controversial moments in the history of the Bachelorette series. I do not recall the first time we talked about Arie Luyendyk Jr. on the show, but when that happened, she told me that she hated Arie Jr. because of him dumping Becca, who he proposed to first, for Lauren, who was sent home. There were claims that it was the first unedited moment ever in the show, but Arie Jr. claimed that it was edited. It was super unfair to be betrayed by the ABC producers. The controversy was so bad that even the state of Minnesota wanted to ban him from the state since he dumped Becca, who is a Minnesota native. Yeah, this is a very messy situation. So yeah, I tried my best to explain the best I can about what happened. Again, Bree, thank you so much for helping me out with those parts of the show. If you're watching this, again, thank you for helping me out with the research of Arie Jr.'s time on the Bachelorette show. I do apologize for not going any more specifics about the controversy. I am a motorsports content creator, but if there are more details to add during his time on the show and his controversial moment, feel free, because I have no clue. Help me out in the comments, please. Oh, anyway. Now, let's talk about his racing career between those years. In 2018, Arie Luyendyk Jr. would run 14 races, starting off with a 9th place finish in the main event due to mechanical issues after 13 laps at Lake Elsinore Stadium after a 4th place finish in Heat 1. Well, according to the third turn, he finished 11th at the race. I don't know. Arie Luyendyk Jr. would score 4 top 10s in 4 races with 2 top 5s and a 2nd place finish at the first Adelaide race and a 5th at the 2nd Adelaide race. And in the 3rd Adelaide race, he got his 7th. A good and consistent overall weekend at Adelaide for Arie Luyendyk Jr. In Long Beach, Arie Luyendyk Jr. would once again be in the podium in 3rd place on the first race, but would DNF with a 14th place finish on the 2nd race due to mechanical issues after 3 laps. The next race was Perth. Arie Luyendyk Jr. would finally show his true skill and talent in this series, accomplishing something he has not done yet in the series for 5 years.
Arie Luyendyk leading, it's basically going to be a 1-lap dash here as far as the time's concerned. So our final lap.
Here's Brabham to the inside from the back of the field on Gordon, who's in minimal room going into turn number 1. He'll try the switchback at the first ramp. Will they go side by side? Look at Cole Potts, see in the background of this shot. They settle into single formation. So Luyendyk Jr. leads us up to the top of the hill for this, the final lap.
And there is Travis Milburn. He tries to get up on Pops right there. Hoffman, he's getting the power to the ground, staying on the loud pedal. And that Live United Fiber and Data, number 47, he is in P2 right behind him. It's the dude, it's the champ. And the number 1 in the 3rd spot. Not much track left to go until we get ready to grab a checkered flag here. Running out of the race as the top 4 is pulling a bit of a gap on one another. Brabham and Gordon slowing each other down because they are super racy with one another. Cole Potts right behind him.
So what a great moment this is going to be, though, for Arie Luyendyk. He's had 2 podiums this year. It's on in the background, and he breaks through for a win in Speed Energy Stadium Super Trucks in a thriller here at Barbagallo as Milburn decides he doesn't like Virgin Australia anymore and takes out the sign at the finish line here. It had everything, and Luyendyk, he will celebrate this all night long. This will be a massive pressure off his shoulders.
Absolutely, it will. So, good win for Arie Luyendyk. It'll be questionable as far as what the call was made with the crash with him and Harlan. I know Chris Harlan at home right now in the States is angry. Let's just bury it right there.
Oh, no.
That's not 4-wheel drive, my man.
Does he know that they're very sandy, they're very deep sand traps here at Barbagallo Raceway? He doesn't care right now.
No.
Is he going to jump out perhaps here and celebrate? I cannot describe you how much he wanted a victory.
He needed a victory.
He needed it, yeah.
He hasn't had a win in some time here in Speed Energy Stadium Super Trucks, but yeah, he knows he's had the ability to do so. He's done it before. But here he goes.
After being in the series for 5 years and having some close chances and even dealing with the big controversies on the Bachelorette series, Arie Luyendyk Jr. would finally get his first career Stadium Super Trucks win at Perth and his first Auto Racing Series win since 2008. Luckily for Arie Jr., he would not have to wait a long time to score another victory at the second Bell Hour race.
Look at him, nice and calm in that cab. You don't see any unnecessary movements, nothing like that going on. Just so mellow as we're on board with Brabham right here. They get through turn 3, nice and slow.
Oh, no! That's Morris, who's upside down in the same corner we saw Hoffman eating the tyre barrier earlier in the race.
Turn 3 again. We saw just, I think, a lap prior, maybe 2 laps ago. Morris out breaking himself a little bit there. Now this time he's up into the tire wall. So we're going to get a big look at it. We've seen the dude at a little trouble earlier on. And where is he? And all of a sudden, okay, boom.
Oh, wow.
Got into the tire walls. So they got upside down there. Luckily, it looks like the truck didn't actually take on too much damage there. All on his own. Got up, two-wheeled in, boom. The tires kept it from getting too nasty. And luckily, the dude, he's been here before in other forms of racing. He's tough, he's big, he's strong, and he definitely can take a bit of a beating. Boom. The tires save it, flip that truck upside down. The trucks seem heavy till you seen that. They're actually not much to them. They're very strong, very stout, very tough trucks. About 2,900 pounds dry. And there he is, and Paul Morris out of the truck. He is doing fine, so good news for him. But wild ride right there. There's one more look at it. All on his own. Got up into that tire, up in the curb there, made the thing two-wheel, and he had nowhere to go. He ran out of real estate. You could see him trying to steer out of it and fix the issue, but nowhere to go. So right now we are still under checkered flag, so it is official. We're now hearing from race control that they do want to fix that tire wall up before they get into the next race, the IndyCar final coming up right around the corner. So that being said, not the way he wanted to be, but there's a win for Arie Luyendyk Jr.
What a place to do it in Detroit as well. It got cut short.
The truck was awesome. Big thank you to Lear. Obviously, they stepped up for me for this race. Also, UFD for giving me the opportunity to run full time. Yeah, what a great win. It was really cool because in Perth, you know, I got that win, but I started up front. So it felt good to pass a lot of trucks, even in the shortened race. Paul made a little mistake, and I, just kind of focused through the corner and capitalized. So it was one of those things that happens a lot here in Detroit. Now I've raced here quite a bit, and it finally feels good to win. I've finished a lot of seconds and thirds here, and great to get the overall.
After winning the second Detroit race, Arie Luyendyk Jr. would run 4 more races at 2 Texas races, got replaced by Casey Mears for the Road America races, but wherever Casey Mears finished, Arie Luyendyk Jr. would score the points. And then he would run 2 Glen Helen races, but would DNF at the second Glen Helen race after 1 lap. After 2018, Arie Luyendyk Jr. would race in 8 more Stadium Super Truck Series races between 2019 and 2021, scoring his third and final victory at the first Road America race in 2020.
Leaders now working into turn 3.
All right, guys, I just won the race. I flipped over, landed on all 4 tires, ended up winning. It was like an insane race. So, front of the truck's banged up. I landed on this guy right here. nuts.
His final Stadium Super Truck Series races took place on the streets of Nashville weekend with a 7th place finish in race 1 and a 6th place finish in race 2. As of this episode, he has not made another appearance in a Stadium Super Truck Series. As of the making of this episode, he is still married to Lauren Burnham, and they have 3 kids together with the oldest daughter named Alessi, who is 5 years old, and twins named Senna and Lux, who are 3 years old. Arie Luyendyk Jr. is still a real estate agent, and he is still on TV shows. Recently, he was on the Traitors. Arie Luyendyk Jr. and Lauren run their own YouTube channel showcasing their vlogs with their families. Despite being a father, a real estate agent, and being on TV, Arie Luyendyk Jr. is still on the fast lane. Arie Luyendyk Jr. is doing some sprint car racing. Arie Jr. racing the inaugural Davey Hamilton Jr.'s open wheel showdown at Irwindale Speedway back in November 2023. Arie Luyendyk Jr. does some part-time asphalt sprint car racing with Jiffy Lube as a sponsor and competes in a must-see sprint car racing series. Despite not completely following his father's footsteps to race in IndyCar, Arie Luyendyk Jr. has kept the legacy of the Luyendyk family growing in his own footsteps. Arie Luyendyk Jr. was honestly a decent driver in the racing, thankfully not a racing bust, but his name is more recognizable in the Bachelorette world, for better or for controversy. But at the end of the day, Arie Luyendyk Jr. does have a legacy on track or on camera. So that's going to do it for another Racing Stories episode. I just want to say thank y'all so much for watching. Bree, once again, thank you so much for helping me out, adding some information about Arie Luyendyk Jr.'s time in the Bachelorette series. I really appreciate it. And this is Ian the Motorsports Man, not Ian the Bachelorette Man. Signing off. Goodbye, everybody. Oh, and before you go, please stay safe on the road. Do not drive with a suspended license. Do not drive recklessly. Do not propose to a woman and change your mind and dump your potential fiancé for another woman and getting married and start a family. That is not right. That's fucked up. You either love that someone or you don't. Anyway, goodbye.